3 minutes. And she's just like, you don't think I'm beautiful? And he's just like, what? I just want to leave your island. Can I borrow a boat? Like, that's like literally, so that's like the whole running joke is that, yeah. So
he's like Goku, but he's not easily manipulated.
Yeah, because he's not easily manipulated because he's got his one goal in mind, Bill, to be king of the pirates. Duh.
Well, Goku, when he gets asked about marriage, he thinks, oh, I'm sure that tastes good, and then he goes on with his life, and then comes back later, and suddenly this girl wants to marry him, and he's like, huh? What's that?
Can I eat it?
Do I know you?
Do I know you? Well,
and then she gets pissed off, and he's even more confused.
Yep.
Great love story, Toriyama. Great love story.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a better developed love story than most anime love stories. Let's be real.
Is it better than Twilight?
That's not hard. Like, that's like the easiest like comparison.
Yes.
That Shadow and Shrek gif you sent me is a better love story than Twilight.
Alright.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. On this episode, me and Alex are going to be returning once again to the world of anime. This time going over the world of anime nowadays versus back in the day, while also discussing some of our current shows we've been watching, going over some more of the shows that we did not get to in the previous episode, along with some more interesting developments. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us as we discuss the shows that shaped us. It's Anime Part 2. See you then. So, it's Friday. How you been?
Ah! Jesus, that was so loud. Well, in my headphones it was. I think I have my little headphone thing up too loud. Alright, speak again, please. Speak.
Hi. Hello.
Again. Wait.
Hi.
Oh, okay, I'm going the wrong way. Okay. Welcome. It's already a train wreck. It's Friday! Woo!
Yep. Yes, it is.
Anything exciting happened this week, or?
No, this week was kind of a... everything sucked.
Yeah.
kind of week.
That was the vibe from everyone this week. It was just kind of suck. That was it.
Well, I think it's also because, for some reason, the company I work for, we have Monday off, so everyone was just kind of like, we don't want to be here. Fuck this week.
Yeah, that was the same with us. It was definitely a no one wants to be here kind of week.
Yeah, because for some reason we get Monday off, so it's like, hey, I'm not complaining about a day off.
Nope.
But yeah, so really nothing significant happened. I mean, in terms of weekly stuff, I guess, I got The Last of Us Part 2 saved on my PS5 because I'm going to do that challenge now.
Ah, nice. Yes, for those who... I don't know if by the time you're hearing this, if it will be out, but...
I don't know. This episode's going to come out like a couple weeks from now, but
okay.
We made a guest appearance on a certain podcast. I'll shout them out when it actually comes out.
Yeah, but one of the he told Bill that he needed to finish The Last of Us, so...
Part 2.
Yep, The Last of Us 2. So, he's working on that.
And we went into some whole reasons why I didn't finish it the first time, but now's not the time for that.
Yeah. But when it comes out, take a listen.
I will say it is downloaded, and I will be playing it pretty soon.
Yeah.
Along with, I gotta finish... Well, no, I'll save that for later in the show, but other than that, I've had my... I'm still on a RuneScape kick, so...
Nice, good job.
So how about you?
Well, I'm officially a Connecticut person now.
Yep.
I officially got my Connecticut license plate, so now I am an actual Connecticut person. Woo!
Yeah, but you never
And
never lose that Massachusetts.
nah, it's okay. I was like totally in total road rage on the way home. So there's this on my route to work. There's this bridge, and they're doing construction on it. And on the way to work, it's fine, but on the way back, they made it so you have to merge to get onto the bridge, and it's just chaos. Every day, like I like feel like I'm gonna get in an accident, and I hate that they did it. I hate them for it. So I hope they fix it soon and make it to. It's supposed to be 2 lanes again, and I hope it happens soon because I definitely feel like I'm gonna get in an accident one of these days because people like don't pay attention at all, and it scares
Well,
me.
that's just driving in general because people can't drive to save their lives anymore.
Oh yeah, no, but this was already a spot that got congested because it's already at a split. So now it's a split, but there's also a merge. So
Yeah.
there's people who come in the left lane and they're trying to get all the way to the farthest lane, and people are just like, no, like, I'm not letting you through. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
a disaster. It's a disaster.
People spend an entire year not driving, and then suddenly they have to drive again, and they, you know, people like take a week off of driving and they forget how to drive. So imagine
yeah.
a year
Oh yeah.
combined with if it rains, and then dear God,
Oh god.
save us all.
I don't know about you, but it's been so like foggy. The past 2 days have been like insanely foggy here, because the humidity's been super high, but it's not like cold out. So the mornings, like, this morning wasn't as bad, but yesterday it was so foggy I couldn't even see like cars in front of me. So when
See,
I
it's
was
still-
turning, oh,
See, we're at the point we're at the point of the year in Massachusetts now where, because I leave like super early, like around like 6.
mhm.
It's still dark out. Like I don't even notice if it's foggy or not.
Oh no, it was. I left at 6:30. It was dark out still, but like it was
Well,
so.
there's like no fog.
No, the fog was so dense. Like when I was like you know my street. When I was turning out onto my street, if a car did not have his lights on, I would not have known it was there. Like
Yep.
it was that foggy. It was insane. It was insane.
You should see all the people up here who don't turn their lights on in the fog. It's great.
Yeah, no. There's people who do it in Connecticut too, and I was like the whole time I was just like, well, I'm turning out of my apartment. Hopefully I don't die. So that's what my
That's just me
week's been.
driving. That's me driving home every day.
Well, exactly. That's me getting in the car. I'm just like, well, hope I don't die today.
It's just everywhere. People can't drive
No.
anymore.
Can't.
It's kind of bad.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
But I guess you drinking anything this fine podcast?
I am. I actually have a drink story. It's not about what I drank today, but I'll say this drink, and then after you say your drink, then I'll explain my drink story, because it's actually kind of funny. So today I'm drinking a Fisher's Island Lemonade Fizz. It has vodka and whiskey with real juice flavor, so it's pretty good. I like it because it's not sweet, and it's like bitter. So it's nice.
I've got a sparkling ice spiked hard seltzer, strawberry
Ooh.
citrus smash. Smash.
Wow. Smash.
Oh yeah, did you see Sora got announced for Smash?
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see anything for Smash.
No, well, they announced Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and the entire internet had a hissy fit because, of course, they did.
Oh God.
They could have
What did
announced.
you say?
They could have literally. So I'm convinced, like Sakurai is just a massive internet troll, and he just does whatever he can to piss people off. And
Yeah.
I'm all for it personally. 'Cause I play Smash to have fun, not for competitiveness, and I love when the Smash community loses their minds because it's hilarious to watch. But
Yep.
I guarantee he could pick exactly what they wanted, and they'd still find something to complain about.
Yeah, that's just how the video game community works. No one's
Like
happy.
when I saw it was Sora got announced as the final like Smash character for Ultimate, I was like, oh cool, whatever. And then I go on the internet and everyone's like it's either like the people who are super excited for it or the people that are losing their fucking minds, and I'm like, yeah, okay, nothing to see here, folks. Let's move on. Now, what was your fun beer story?
Oh, Okay, so I went to the best grocery store in the whole wide world, Stu Leonard's. Woo! I went there, and they have I've said it before. They have like a liquor store. It's right there, and it's wonderful. Um, so I got like the little lemonade thingy. I got those, but then I also got some ciders, and they just had a whole bunch. So I didn't really know what I wanted, so I just was like, boop. I just grabbed one. Um, so I did that, and then I go home and I go to drink one, and I pop it open, and I just smell eggs. It just smelled like eggs, and I don't know why. But it didn't taste like eggs, but I'm not kidding. As soon
I
as
love how you're like,
it
it smells like eggs, but I still drank it anyways.
well, yeah, I wasn't gonna waste it.
I also like how you...
It tasted fine. Like, it wasn't anything special in a cider.
I also like
but...
I like how everyone, like, whenever you buy a drink, you always have to smell it first.
Well, I didn't even have to, like, I didn't, like, go in and go, like, I didn't do, oh, God, that was, that just smelled, that wasn't a good idea. It just smelled my drink, and I really got my nose in there, and I think I snorted some of my drink. But anyways, I just opened it, and I was just, like, wafted with egg smell, and I was like, why do you smell like eggs? But I guess I was talking to my coworker, and I guess there's some sort of, like, there's some sort of acid in it, and I guess if you use that acid, it can make things smell like eggs. So, and sure enough, I looked down the ingredient list, and I was like, oh, yep, it's in there. So that's why it smells like eggs.
Yep.
But, so anyways.
Am I the only one who, in my head, just immediately thought, I like eggs?
Eggs. I like eggs, but not those eggs. Those are bad.
I like eggs. One of the most, like, as a kid, I never got that joke. I still don't really get it now. Like,
I don't even think, I think it was just, like, so random. And I think that was the point.
Dan Snyder's a weirdo. That's all I can say.
Dan Snyder is a weirdo with a foot fetish.
Yeah.
I said it.
You know, looking back at all those old shows, my God, that guy was kind of fucked.
Yeah. Well, it really shows how messed up it was when one of the characters of their show, like one of the, not characters, actors of the show, like refused to come back because they wanted nothing to do with the show because it was so traumatic.
Oh, you mean the iCarly reboot?
Yeah. And I don't blame her.
Not reboot, sequel.
Yeah. I don't blame her.
You know what the funny part is,
all.
though? He's not involved in the slightest, and the show's tone is so different.
Oh yeah, well it's centered for adults. I actually
it's
heard
like
it's
an
pretty
adult.
good. I haven't watched it.
I watched
yet,
the first episode and I was like, yeah, I can see people liking this. I'm not really interested, but
yeah, I might check it out, but I don't blame the actress for not doing it. Like, if it's not healthy for you, don't do that. And
it's not even the show. She just doesn't want to be an actress.
No, yeah, I felt really bad for her. Like, after hearing some of her story, I think like her family was like just as bad too, from what I read, and I was like, oh. So, send her some love, people, because she deserves it, and Dan Snyder is a freak, so she really deserves it for dealing with him.
He was Ricky in Better Off Dead.
I know, and I can't watch that movie the same now because he just...
No, you just ignore... He's not a likable character in the movie, so it's fine.
I know, true. I mean, true.
Well, anyways, off of this Dan Snyder tangent.
Yeah, because he's weird, and we don't want to talk about him anymore.
We do have a theme. Well, honestly, what we're going to be talking about is probably equally as weird.
Oh, yeah. It's a theme you all know and love.
Yep. So, we're revisiting anime.
Anime? How is Anna? How's she doing?
You know that thing that we talk about every freaking episode of this podcast? Because, you know, we're a gaming podcast, but we barely talk about it.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
But, anyways, anime. Part 2.
Anime.
Electric Boogaloo.
Woo! Fancy.
But we kind of wanted to... So, with our first anime episode, we went very much into our early days of anime and how we discovered anime.
Yes.
For this episode, because we've already gone over that, we didn't talk about everything that we could have talked about. But we also only really talked about the early days.
And we also
this-
realized we forgot a bunch too. Like
Oh, yeah,
after,
yeah.
like we were like, oh
my
shit.
friend at work consulted me after. Was like, you didn't talk about a lot of shows, which you probably should have. And I was like, yeah. But we had a 20-minute
But this
JoJo's
is,
discussion.
Like, hell yeah, it was like 30 minutes actually.
Yeah.
I re-listened to it because I re-listened to it because I wanted to list out what we talked to, and here were some of our greatest hits: Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, Bill's Hentai Awakening, Digimon, Angelina Anaconda, Akira, Bleach, Persona. More
okay.
Angelina Anaconda.
Yeah, we get it.
Which is
I read that
anime.
list and I got there and I was like, what the? I was like,
Bill, I know what we really forgot though. We forgot the true best anime of all time. Corey in the House.
oh, he's a freak too.
Corey in the House. It's the best anime.
Yeah, but he's in jail.
Oh, he
or
is?
he's going. Yeah, I think he's a pedo or something.
Oh, is he like R. Kelly? Or like,
I don't know.
Why is everyone a pedo? Can we just stop being? Can we just not?
This is why I don't like celebrities that much. They're all freaking turning out to be these douchebags. But
honestly, yeah. So
that's why I don't like to get too much into like voice actors, like beyond what their role is, because it's like you get super deep into voice actors and you realize they're all douchebags.
Yeah, that's why we don't meet anyone at conventions, because we're
No.
just like. Because honestly, the truest statement is don't meet your heroes, because like they're probably an asshole or a pedophile at this point.
I'm sure most of them are wonderful people, but it's like you can't even tell half the time anymore.
No, you can't. I mean, like, look at all the people on YouTube who have been canceled.
Well, those people aren't celebrities.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, look at all of them who, like, everyone thought loved them, and then now they're just, like, assholes. So, it's just, can't meet your heroes.
See, we could never do a YouTube podcast, because it would be so depressing.
I know. That's why we're not gonna do one. We've talked about it, but, like, we're just not, because it's too depressing. YouTubers suck, so... and that's why we podcast. Woo!
It's funny because to end the YouTube discussion here, it's like every couple of years you shift between which YouTubers you like, because it's like you end up hating them after a couple of years.
Yeah, no.
But that's beside the point. But anyways, back to anime. So, as I was saying, the first episode was basically about our early days. I wanted this episode to be similar format, but instead we were going to have our central theme be anime now versus anime then. Because, my God, like, what a difference a couple decades has done.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so
Hiccup.
I figure, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, where do you... I mean, we could start with maybe, like, our taste. What we liked then versus what we like now.
Yeah, because it's very fascinating. We've alluded to it in the past, and it's very fascinating.
Oh, yes.
So back in the day, I was very much into action Power Rangers-like stuff.
Shonen stuff.
Shonen, just action. A lot of action.
Yep.
Alex liked pretty Sailor Moon and girls.
Yes, and romance. Well, no, not girls. Don't say that. Romance.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I'm all for it. You know, if you want to love whoever you love, but I personally, that's not my orientation.
You know what I meant.
But
you know what I meant.
I know, but the way he said it just didn't. I don't want people to think that, because I don't want to imply I'm part of a community I'm not part of. You know, it's not right. Anyways, I watch very girly stuff. I watched like a lot of romance ones, like just so many romance, honestly. But I think that's just what I was interested in at the time. Also, a lot of the animes that were made based off those like PSP, a lot of them were PSP games from Japan, where it was like dating simulators. I watched a ton of those growing up.
Either PSP or PS2.
Yes, or PS2. I watched a ton of the animes based off those. But now, my taste it's much different because I don't really watch romance anymore. I think the closest romance I've watched was like Fruits Baskets, but it's really not romance until like there's only certain. It's not.
We'll get to Fruit Baskets.
Yes. But now I watch One Piece or just other random
JoJo's
or JoJo's, which
Black
are
Clover
or Black Clover, which like don't have romance, or if it is, it's like very much in the background, back corner, not.
One Piece is entirely a no hugging, no kissing anime.
Oh yeah, no. Well, there's
JoJo's,
hugging. There's hugging.
Well, you know what I mean. There's no romantic subplots. Unless you count Boa Hancock, but that's its own one-sided thing in the background.
Yeah.
That's more of a joke than anything, right?
No, yeah, it's more of a joke. Like, well, it's more of a joke because Luffy's just he's Luffy, and he like just like doesn't care, and he just especially because like her power, she ate the love fruit, so her power she can turn anyone who's like attracted to her to stone. So when she first meets Luffy, she tries using it on Luffy, and Luffy's just like, no! And then he's like, nothing happened. And they like, it goes on for like 3 minutes. And she's just like, you don't think I'm beautiful? And he's just like, what? I just want to leave your island. Can I borrow a boat? Like, that's like literally, so that's like the whole running joke is that, yeah. So
he's like Goku, but he's not easily manipulated.
Yeah, because he's not easily manipulated because he's got his one goal in mind, Bill, to be king of the pirates. Duh.
Well, Goku, when he gets asked about marriage, he thinks, "Oh, I'm sure that tastes good," and then he goes on with his life, and then comes back later, and suddenly this girl wants to marry him, and he's like, "Huh? What's that?
Can I eat it?
Do I know you?"
Do I know you?
And then she gets pissed off, and he's even more confused. Yep. Great love story, Toriyama. Great love story.
Oh yeah.
It's still a better developed love story than most anime love stories. Let's be real. Is
it better than Twilight?
That's not hard. Like that's like the easiest like comparison.
Yes.
That Shadow and Shrek gif you sent me is a better love story than Twilight.
Alright. So me and Bill, we just send each other like strange. Well, it's more I send Bill strange stuff, but
I send you some strange things sometimes.
Yeah, what did you send me that was strange? You sent me something.
The picture of the bathroom that had the sign that says, "Please only flush toilet paper in the toilets," and then it's a picture below with a guy that says, "Me pooping on the floor."
Yeah, so I was going through, like, you know how, like, on your iPhone you have, like, the GIF option? Mm-hmm. So I was just going through that, and then I just typed in Shrek, because, like, Shrek is love and Shrek is life, people. So I looked, and then I just see this GIF, and I'm just like, send. And it was Shrek and Sonic. No, it was
Shadow.
Shrek and Shadow kissing. I was just like, this is so absurd. I need to send it.
Well, no, the best part is you sent me that, and as I was processing what I was seeing, you sent me like 18 more Shrek gifs, and I was like, Alex, this is too much. I can't process this right now.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
But anyways, back to anime.
Back to anime. Oh god,
basically,
this podcast is a train wreck.
Every podcast we do is a train wreck. Unless it's someone else's, then we're good. But
Yes.
But anyways, Alex's taste went from romance to action.
Yes.
And then I went from action to slice of life romance comedies.
Yep.
Because tastes change? I don't know. I still like action anime.
Or maybe I watched all the romance, and maybe it's just we watched all of the other ones, so now we have to change genres.
Well, no, because you watched more anime than I have.
Oh, yeah, true.
By the point where I finally really got into anime, most of my knowledge was Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, and I was just starting to get into Naruto, plus, like, Cowboy Bebop, so...
I have to look at my count. I gotta look at my stats. Let's see how many shows I've watched. I've completed 260 animes. which consists of 7,917 episodes.
Yes.
Yes. So, as you can see, I've only watched a little. I'm not that well versed.
You know, but you've watched way more than I have. You've watched most of One Piece.
I was being sarcastic, but okay.
Well, I'm not on Reddit, so I can't detect sarcasm right now.
Yes.
But, so anyways, I think it's funny, because when I think about it deeper, my favorite anime of all time is Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Which is partially a romance.
Yes.
So it kind of makes me realize, I think I've always liked romance anime, now that I think about it.
No? Yeah. Well, see, I don't know what was my favorite before One Piece. I don't know if I had
you were
one.
You were obsessed with JoJo's.
Well, no, JoJo's, yes, and JoJo's is still one of my favorites. But before JoJo's, I'm talking about, before, I got into action. I don't know if I had a favorite.
I mean, you like Sailor Moon.
Yeah, but that was also, but it wasn't my favorite, you know? I don't know if I had one until now.
Especially because all we had back then was the Clover Way, and,
yeah.
The Clover Way dub. Or whatever dub. Cloverway Deke dub, yeah, that one.
Deke!
I love it, but it's so trash.
It is real trash.
So,
but yeah, I don't know what my favorite was back then. One Piece is my favorite now, but...
Yeah, well. I'd say before we start talking about shows, I want to also point out, back in the day, trying to find, anime anywhere was not easy.
Oh, yeah. And if you did find it, you were mocked.
Yeah, but that's beside the point. I'm just talking about... So we're from the VHS era.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know what VHSs are, before DVDs, they were tape recorder. They're basically giant tapes that you put into a VCR.
For those who don't know, you used to have to, but if you wanted to watch something again, you couldn't just press play. You'd have to rewind the tape and then start it from the beginning.
Honestly,
changed people.
I'm gonna say though, most of our age demographic probably knows what a VHS is. So.
Oh yeah, I would hope so. But
for the three younger people who've never seen one though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The picture quality was garbage, and you had to rewind.
Yes.
No one ever rewound when they rented a Best Buy.
Yeah.
I mean, a Blockbuster.
But you didn't do it at home either, because I think every time we went to watch a movie, we always sit on the couch.
You always had to rewind it because no one ever rewound.
Yeah. Well, especially I remember those moments at Christmas where we'd watch what was the Christmas movie that we'd watch? Christmas Vacation, and we would rewind it. We'd always sit there for the first 5 minutes just waiting for it to rewind. So It was a good time. No, it wasn't. It was a shit time. Why did we do that?
Because of that, anime was releasing on VHS tapes as well, and you'd be lucky to find 5 episodes of God knows what at the time, probably Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball or something. And it was 5 episodes.
Movies.
The movies were easier because you didn't have to worry about episodes and arcs. The VHS tapes, though, it's you'd get 5 episodes of God knows what arc at the time.
Yeah.
And you'd always watch them, and then they'd never really end on a satisfying note. You'd always be like, oh, great, where do I go next?
Yeah. Well, especially with Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball fights can span over, how many episodes?
I mean, the Frieza fight's basically a season.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
So, that would suck to rent, because you basically have to, you'd just be this is so, nothing happened. No, just kidding.
Dragon Ball Z was pretty notorious for that. I mean, thankfully, we didn't really rent a lot of anime. Well, we didn't buy a lot of anime VHS tapes, but we rented them from Blockbuster a lot.
Yes, and a lot of it was the Sailor Moon movies.
You know what's sad? They had all those VHS tapes there, and I bet someone bought them, but man, those are probably worth a lot nowadays.
I know, yeah. That's crazy.
And they had the cases mint, too, because you didn't actually take the case.
No, yeah, they put it in a Blockbuster case.
Yeah. But yeah, that was... Because it's crazy, because nowadays you go to any store and you find anime just on the. I remember the first time seeing anime Blu-ray full box sets on the shelves, and I was like,
yeah.
"Damn."
What happened?
I mean, they're still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they were like, I think like to get all the Inuyasha box sets back in the day was like hundreds of dollars.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, it's crazy just walking into like Newberry Comics now, and like I feel like we went the other weekend, and like Newberry Comics, like it's mostly like anime. Like at least in my mall, like there's a main section that's just anime related, and it takes up a good portion of the store.
It's funny when you go to Newbury Comics now, and the comics are like this one small section in the back.
Yeah, and it's
like back in the day, you'd go to like a store like a pop culture store, and you look for the anime, and it'd be this one tiny little section off in the back corner that nobody ever went to, and there was usually the one sketchy guy there.
Yeah, but now it's like Hot Topic, obviously Newberry Comics, but even like brands you see it now, because like Uniqlo, that clothing brand, will do partnerships with animes, and then Zoomies,
yeah.
Zoomies, we found some cool stuff there. But yeah, now a lot of places will do it. I mean, even like you can find stuff in Target now.
And Walmart.
Walmart and Target, TJ Maxx, like it's everywhere now.
Just anime stuff. It's like you would have never seen this back in the day. Like back in the day, you'd have to like hunt for this stuff, and you'd be ridiculed or stared at. Like people would just look at you like, "What is this freak into?"
And also, it always like it looked bad. Like, whatever merch you bought, it looked bad. Like, now, merch is, like, it looks cool, and it looks like someone actually took, like, the time. I mean, like, it's crazy to say, but, like, Gucci did a collaboration with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Gucci, like, this extremely famous, expensive brand, did a partnership with an anime. Like, who would have thought that would ever happen?
JoJo's is its own interesting beast.
Oh yeah, no, JoJo's is it's very artistic, and I think that's why. Like, you look at the character designs of JoJo's, and, I mean, you've seen my figures. You know, like, it's a very different art style, but still, like, that's an anime, and, like, it's
highly
doing
stylized, yes.
Oh yeah, but, I mean, it's still an anime doing a collab with Gucci. That's pretty insane. Who would have thought that would ever happen?
Still can't find any Inuyasha merch anywhere, though. Except for Zoomies.
No, for Zoomies. And they had some at Hot Topic. It was just kind of girly.
One purse.
that one purse.
That one purse. I was like, cool.
Oh, I was going to say, you should actually check out, there's another store, it's called Box Lunch.
Okay.
They're like kind of like a Hot Topic, kind of that store. Like, but they have a lot, they're more anime focused, so you should look at them. Maybe they'll have some Inuyasha merch. Actually, let me look first, and I'll get you a Christmas present there.
It's still funny. It's still actually kind of funny being a male Inuyasha fan, because you get so many weird looks from people.
Well,
even though it's not a girly show.
No, it really isn't. Like, it's very violent. Like, when I rewatched, I was like, yeah, this is violent.
I mean, yeah, this is the face of a killer right here.
I mean, she was threatening my Bulbasaur, so fuck her. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. But yeah, so before we get into some of our shows we've been watching now, like the more specific topics, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Whee!
And we're back.
We're back.
So, now we're going to talk about some of the anime that we either missed our first time around or that we've watched since since the last anime episode.
Yes.
So, do you want to start? Because we know this is going to be a long one.
Okay. So when we originally started the podcast was when I started watching One Piece. And our original anime episode was like episode 7, right? 7 or 8. Like, it was pretty beginning of the podcast.
13.
So it was still pretty early. So I was only like, I think I wasn't that, I think I was like pretty far, but I wasn't as far as I am now in the show. So, I didn't really talk about One Piece in the last anime podcast
No,
after
you
listening
briefly
to it.
mentioned you were watching it. That was your current show.
I mentioned I was watching it, but I didn't really talk about it. So, I'm just gonna discuss. I guess I'll just discuss One Piece. I mean, if you've listened to all of our podcasts, you've probably heard me talk about it. So I won't go into super, super detail, but I'll more just talk about why I like it so much,
Go on.
Alright, I just wasn't sure if you wanted to say something. Anyways, alright, you're gonna hear me.
I'm gonna let you go here because you're about to go off.
Now I feel like there's a lot of pressure. I feel like there's pressure if I mess up now. Alright.
Oh, you're killing time, so let's go.
Oh god. Alright. So, for those of you who don't know One Piece, the general premise is that you start out with this character named Luffy, and his goal is to become king of the pirates. So you basically you see him start off from his home island, in the East Blue, and he leaves on a little tiny boat. But it also starts with a little backstory about why he wants to be pirates, because one of the most famous characters of One Piece, who's only appeared in like 8 episodes, is Shanks. But he's one of the most beloved characters, and he's basically, like, Luffy has like a straw hat, and he got that straw hat from Shanks, because Shanks was on his island, and that's also how he got his devil fruit powers. He ate a devil fruit that was from Shanks. But it's also interesting now, I might be going too deep, but they're also, so that devil fruit is supposedly very important to the government, because they apparently stole it from like a government boat. So it's apparently...
No, the devil fruit are the magic MacGuffins of this show.
Yeah,
right?
So the devil fruit are basically like the powers in this, but it's not all the powers, but basically give people like the crazy bonkers powers, and they're basically all these different fruits, and you can only eat one of them. If you eat 2 devil fruits, you will die, basically. So you can only eat one. After you eat one, you're stuck with that power. And also, if you eat a devil fruit, you lose the ability to swim. So as soon as you touch water, you'll drown. You can't swim, and you'll basically drown and die. Yeah. So
Great concept.
Well, that's the downfall of eating a devil fruit. It's like, yes, you get these cool powers, but also you can't swim, and it's a show about pirates where you're on boats in the middle of water. So it's hand in hand. But also there's some devil fruits that are stronger. There's like 3 different types of devil fruits. There's Paramecia, Logia, and then I'm brain farting on the last one. But it's like a beast? It's not called beast, but they're basically... Oh, zone type. So zone type are like mostly animals, like they transform into animals, but then there's also ones called mythical zones, and there's one character who turns into a phoenix, but then there's also one that turns into like a dinosaur. So all of those, and then Logias are people who basically like they become an element. So one of the characters' name is Ace, and he ate the like flame fruit, or like it's like the meat something me. I just know flame from the like dub, because that's what I've watched. And he basically, like, if someone punches him, or like if someone stabbed like a sword through him, nothing would happen, like because he's fire, so it just goes straight through him. So like Logia fruits are kind of overpowered. And then there's the Paramecia types, which are like kind of basically the rest. They're just all the other ones. So Luffy is Paramecia because he ate the gum fruit and it turns him into rubber.
Yes.
But with rubber, it's actually cool because like he doesn't actually get any damage. So if someone punches him, he doesn't feel it because he's rubber. And he can basically twist and stretch, and he's also immune to lightning because there's a whole arc where...
It's basically just an excuse for all those wacky and insane faces.
Well, and it's interesting because actually the mangaka, he actually chose that Luffy would be the gum fruit so that no matter like what the scenario, no matter how sad the scenario is or how like maybe like upsetting or like vigorous of a fight, it could always come back to like and make you smile because Luffy can do something ridiculous and then it can just turn the show's like pacing and atmosphere right around and kind of get back into things. So it's actually a really clever idea now that like when you think about it, like it was actually really good.
It's not just, oh, what power is Goku gonna pull out of his ass this time?
No, yeah. But there's also, like, limitations to the Devil Fruits. And then there's another thing, because there's another power that you get into later, much later in the season, in the show, which is called Hockey. And Hockey is basically, like, if you don't have a Devil Fruit power, you can still have Hockey. Only certain people can get it. Like, and there's certain types. There's Observation, there's Armament, and then there's the Conqueror's Hockey. And only, like, a few people in the world have the Conqueror's Hockey.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's basically, like, if you fight against, like, Luffy, who's rubber, or, like, a Logia, you'd be able to actually land a hit on them if you used, like, Armament Hockey.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how it balances things out. And, that's kind of why, like, there's a time skip in One Piece, and, like, the whole time skip is basically Luffy learns Hockey, and they all train on the crew, and some of the other crew members learn Hockey so that they'll be able to actually survive in the second half of the show. Uh-oh.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you froze for a second.
No.
Okay.
So, what about One Piece draws you to it? Like, because, I mean, I still remember when One Piece first aired in America. Granted, it was the horrible 4Kids dub.
Yeah.
You wanted nothing to do with it. Like, because I watched the first few episodes, and then I got lost because 4Kids had that's a podcast in itself explaining that disaster.
So I guess for me, the reason why I started watching it was more I just wanted a challenge, you know, like it was like pandemic time. Still wasn't very much to do, and I was at home a lot, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch One Piece, and then I just kind of sat down and did it. And then as I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh my god, like, this is really good. Like, I feel like I didn't watch it because, like, you're always intimidated by the number of episodes, you know?
Yeah.
Even though it's a fun fact, One Piece is not the longest running anime.
No, it's that one random one.
Yeah, it's actually the longest running anime is, like, this old, like, it's actually like a family TV show. Like, it's centered around this family, and it's for, like, Japanese families. It's been around for years. So One Piece is not, and I don't even think One Piece is in, like, the top 10 of the longest running animes, actually. Because, like,
well, there's a lot of, like, it's one of the longest still running ones.
Oh, yeah. No. It definitely is. It's definitely up there. But I think people get intimidated by that, and they don't give the show a chance. But
and especially because the author has literally... haven't you said, like, there's still so much to go?
Oh, yeah. There's still, like, so much that we don't know yet. And there's still so much Luffy has to do. Like, he can't be finished anytime soon, so... I really have no idea when it's gonna end, and I doubt he's going to rush it, because, like, that would just be so disappointing.
Yeah.
And the arcs will take... The arcs are a good, like, 20, 30 episodes each, so... Yeah, sometimes more. So, yeah, honestly, 20, 30 I think is wrong. I think it's more like 40 or something. But I don't know off the top of my head. I could be very wrong, but... It's such a good show. It's very charming. Like, well, especially, like, because... So, like, kind of the premise how the show starts is it starts with Luffy, and then they go to all the different islands, and as he goes to islands, he meets new people, and soon, like, he starts generating members of his crew. So his first mate was Zoro, the pirate hunter. And, like, his whole arc was that, like, they start on his arc where he's on an island and he's actually captured.
Yes.
Well, he's actually, like, starving, and it's, like, a corrupt marine officer, so they beat him, and then they move on to the next island. And then the next island, it's, like, this island that's being attacked by this pirate named Buggy. And you'll see Buggy a lot, because Buggy's actually a really interesting character, because in the beginning you kind of write him off, but he was actually part of the infamous pirates, like, that everyone, the old king of the pirates crew, Roger.
Yes.
So he was part of his crew. So, but in the beginning, you don't know that, and you actually think he's just like this weakling, but he ends up coming back around. So you go to him, and you beat him, and you meet this girl, and her name's Nami. And she doesn't join your crew yet, but she kind of just goes around. We don't know this, but at this time, she's actually working for another pirate crew by force, basically, like, and it will go into a whole arc on her island. So the next step they go is this other island where they meet Usopp, their sniper, and then after that they go to this boat that's a restaurant where they meet their cook Sanji. And then finally they'll go to Nami's island after she betrays them and steals their boat that they got, the Going Merry, which they got on Usopp's island. And then they go to her island, and probably one of the best arcs, like, in the East Blue is her arc, where they get her as a crew member, where they defeat, like, the Arlong pirates, which are the first appearance of fishmen on the show, which fishmen are really complicated, because fishmen actually lead into topics of, like, racism, because basically, like,
yes,
people don't treat fishmen like, there's people who don't treat fishermen like they're people, they just treat them like fish. Because also, like, slavery is a big thing in One Piece. Like, it goes over some heavy topics, like slavery, human trafficking.
Well, when you got over 1,000 episodes, you got a lot of time to have different topics in there.
Oh yeah, racism, corrupt kingdom. Like, it's kind of, like, intense how.
Almost like it's a commentary on the world.
It honestly, it is. I would say so. So. And after they get on Nami, that's when they head towards the Grand Line, and they go up Reverse Mountain. And one thing that is so awesome about One Piece is that they always tie in, like, everything. If something is mentioned, it will come back. Like, you'll be shocked when it does, because one of the things they have to do is they have to get into the Grand Line, they have to basically sail upwards in a mountain to get into the Grand Line, which is cuckoo, but it's awesome. And when they're going up the mountain, one of the characters, Sanji, says, "Oh, I've done something similar to this before." And it actually ends up relating back to when he was a child, and he actually did go up Reverse Mountain as a child. So it's he really draws things back. And then the next thing...
how's the show on the filler?
So there's definitely filler in One Piece, but it's pretty easy to kind of tell when it's filler.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, with 1 being like Inuyasha level, where it's you wouldn't even know it's filler unless you actually read the manga, or and 10 being Naruto, where it's like a flashback to an episode that just happened, like.
Okay, so One Piece doesn't do that. I don't really think One Piece has that many flashbacks, unless it's kind of like relating to something that, kind of like what I just talked about. Those are the only times there's really a flashback. But no, so it's more just like sometimes you'll watch, some of the filler arcs are awesome. Like one of the filler arcs, it's finished after they go to this place called Sky Island, which is in fact an island in the sky. Is
Knuckles there?
No, Knuckles was not there. But there was a guy riding on a pink spotted unicorn.
Amazing.
Yes. And a guy who had lightning powers and was so thrown off when Luffy was not affected at all by him. Which is one of the greatest scenes, because it has one of the most iconic faces where he's just like, what? But also, one thing that's interesting about the Sky Island arc is that they kind of left off with the villain as like a to be continued. Like, we will run into this character again, and it's one of the loose ends that they got to tie up with the show.
Now, is there like a main villain that's like higher than everyone, or is there just arc villains that kind of, we go through one?
So in the beginning, no. So in the beginning, it's complicated. So I gotta kind of keep it explained. So, what I was saying about this filler arc was, oh my god, sorry, about 15 minutes. So I was saying about this filler arc was that they have to leave Sky Island, and they basically, as they're leaving, they have to fall from the sky, and guess where they fall?
Yes.
In an enclosed military base.
Ah.
So, and they basically, in that arc, it's a filler arc, but it's a really fun arc. Like, it's a really good one, and I recommend. But then there's some, that are not as great as that one.
Yeah.
Like,
See, so whenever I think of filler in anime, I always use Inuyasha as like the golden example of how to do filler right.
yeah,
Because aside from like 2 episodes which are like flashbacks,
yeah.
and they're not even that bad.
Mm.
The majority of Inuyasha filler is just like they were running out of manga, so they had to do something to stretch it out a bit.
Yeah, I think
And it's
that's
usually really entertaining.
no, and I think that's more of Luffy, like where One Piece falls. There's definitely some that I don't love. Like some people like it, but like the Foxy Pirates. Ugh, I hated whenever they were on because it just took forever, and I was just so annoyed by them. And they come back multiple times, and I was just like, "Go away! I'm done with you. I thought your filler arc was over." But we were talking about, oh yeah, so the main villain. So in the beginning, like the first, it's basically before pre-time skip. There's really no set villain. It's kind of like
Yes.
he fights people. So like the first person he fights is like that corrupt marine, and then there's Buggy, and then there's this guy, like, I forget his name. He, like, wore a lot of gold. He wasn't as memorable. And then there's Arlong, and that's basically the East Blue people he fights. And that's kind of how he gets his first bounty.
Yes.
And then the next arc, as he's going into, as he gets into the Grand Line, that's where they run into this girl called Vivi. And she's actually a princess of one of the islands. And she's basically... And then the whole kind of arc turns into like basically saving her island and saving her kingdom. And you end up fighting he ends up fighting one of the warlords, 7 warlords, which are basically these government-sanctioned pirates that they work for the government in order to like not be bothered, but they're still pirates, so it's complicated. But he's trying to take over her kingdom. So in the beginning, like that's kind of who they're trying to go after this guy that they don't know who he is at the time, but he's the villain. And then there's some minor people that they have to fight, like in one where they gain another character. They go on this island, and there's a really corrupt king, so they have to fight him. And then it kind of keeps going. So he's like, I'd say Crocodile. He was one of the first main villains. And then after that, there's the Sky Island arc. And, like, one of your minor villain characters who ends up turning back around, and they end up rekindling and becoming friends, was this guy, I forgot his name. Shit. Bellamy. That's
You got
it.
most. Okay,
Bellamy.
she got it anyway.
Yeah, I got it. I know my One Piece. So they fight Bellamy, and Bellamy's basically like this arrogant kind of pirate, but he actually ends up tying back in because he's actually connected to one of the other 7 warlords. So, and he comes back in on another arc, but he's kind of your introduction into that warlord, who's very complicated. So, basically, he's like your minor. Luffy beats the shit out of him because at the time, they all thought his bounty was 30 million, and Bellamy's bounty was like 50 million. But it turns out, they just hadn't got his most recent one, and he was worth 100 million. After taking out the 7 warlords. So, and then after that, they go to Sky Island, and then their main villain, which Sky Island is a long arc. It's not everyone's favorite because it's very long, and they couldn't really separate it with other things because once they were in the sky, they couldn't really just like jump out and come back, you know. And your main villain is Enel, who is the lightning Logia user. So they fight him, they beat him eventually, they leave there, and then the next, who do they fight next? Oh, and then the next arc is, they end up so they go to this arc that's basically like this water, called Water 7, and it's basically this island. Their main enemy is a government agency called CP9. And it's basically they took one of their crew members who used to be a villain, but she joined them, and now she's their friend. And she's been wanted by the government since she was like younger, so they like wanted to basically kill her. So they have to like go and save her, and that's like the main thing. But their main villain is CP9, and that was a really good arc too. I gotta say, Water 7, really great arc. And then after that, the next villain character is one of the other 7 lawyers, Gecko Moria, and he has his own island that's also a ship. And his power is basically like he can take people's souls out of their bodies and put
course.
it into corpses. Yeah, so it's basically it's the zombie arc, basically.
Great. Oh, yeah, because you sent me that gif of Luffy shoving the zombie back in the
ground.
ground.
That's where that's from. And then after that, after that island, they go to, and they gain another crew member whose name is Brook, and he's a skeleton, and he connects back, because I was talking about everything connects in One Piece. Back at that reverse mountain where they were going into the Grand Line, there was a whale there. And with his crew, he sailed, that whale was their friend, and that's why the whale is waiting there, because he's waiting for his crew to return. But his crew ended up all dying at sea, including himself, but he ate, like, the life fruit or something, and he basically got a second chance at life, and that's why he's a skeleton.
Yes.
But basically, like, he's waiting for his crew to come back. So it's all connected, as you can see. Okay. So, I haven't even gotten to the villain yet. It was like the kind of villain, overshadowing villain, but...
Should probably just cut there at this point, because we get it. There's a lot of side plots.
Yeah, there's a lot of side plots, but I will say the next... Well, can I talk about the next one? Because it actually leads...
Okay.
No, never mind, I won't. Alright, you know what? I got 9 minutes to go. Give me 9 minutes to do a half hour.
Okay. Really want to do half an hour?
Maybe. Alright. Just, I'll be quick. So the next island is, because I just want to go into, like, who's kind of the overarching villain. So the next island is called, it's not an island, it's actually an archipelago, so it's just a bunch of trees. It's a bunch of these trees, and they make bubbles, and basically, so this is basically the arc where you're kind of interested into, like, the world government, and also, like, the celestial dragons, which are basically just a bunch of assholes.
Okay.
And they're basically the people who, like, buy and sell slaves, and you kind of learn about the slave market and stuff like that. But in this arc is where the crew gets separated, and that's how they end up going to their locations where they're going to train.
So One Piece really is the anime that has all the tropes in it.
Oh, yeah. No, it has a lot in it, but it's all so good.
Every like recurring anime trope you've basically just explained so far.
Yes. But anyways, after that, they get separated, they all go to different islands, and Luffy is, like, trying to get back to his crew, but as he's on his island, and that's how he meets Boa Hancock, because she goes to his island, he learns that his brother has been taken by the military, and he's going to be sentenced to his death. So now he has to go to the jail and try to save him, and then eventually, like, he doesn't get there in time, but they go to the war, and the war is kind of what interests you into the next kind of villain, which his name is Blackbeard. Well, the villain in that one is kind of the Navy itself, because, like, they're trying to kill his brother. But the whole reason that this war happened was because of a pirate named Blackbeard, who Ace was after because he killed a member of Ace's crew. So Blackbeard was part of Ace's crew, killed a member.
I'm assuming Blackbeard is based off of the actual Blackbeard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this Blackbeard, he ends up basically, like, he eats this devil fruit that's called the dark fruit, and it's Logia, but it gives him he has one of the most mysterious fruits because he can take other people's devil fruit powers.
Oh.
So that's why he's going to become, like, the main villain, because he's going to be very overpowered. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but that kind of leads in, so they haven't fought him yet, but they keep seeing pieces of him in the New World, but basically, like, he'll eventually I believe, like, the main villain that they will fight, because Luffy wants to avenge his brother, basically. Because if it wasn't for him, his brother would, still, spoiler, his brother would still be alive. So,
yeah.
But that was my One Piece rant. So as you can see, I talked about it for like 25 minutes, basically, and that's just because it's so good.
And if I didn't stop her, she would have kept going.
I probably would have kept going. I mean, you asked me to explain the show, so I explained it.
Well, I wanted you just to explain what you liked it, why you liked it.
Well, I like it so much.
I legitimately want to know.
But, like, see, that's the thing, though, is, like, it's a good show when I can describe basically everything that happens, And I remember the characters' names. Like, if you don't remember the Like, you don't love the characters that much. If you know the arcs, and you know the characters, and you love the show. So I'm just a true fan, and I really love it. And that shows how passionate I am. But alright, it's time for you to talk, because I've talked for way too long.
Okay.
And my throat's kind of dry.
Yeah. So, one of the animes I've watched since we did the first anime episode. Now, it's funny because this was actually the one anime that my friend at work actually flat out was like, you didn't talk about this one at all. I was like, oh, right, we didn't.
Shit.
So, one of the animes I've seen in the time I finally got off my butt and watched it was Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yes.
Now, you saw the original Fullmetal Alchemist back in the day, right?
I saw, like, episodes. I don't know if I watched every single one, but I did see episodes, yes.
Okay. So, Fullmetal Alchemist is an interesting one because there's the 2003 show, which adapted the manga until they ran out of manga.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than doing the Inuyasha route of trying to stretch it out as long as they could, they instead they did, after they got to the end of where the manga was, so like halfway through, because it's only, the original anime is only like a 56 episoder, I think.
Yep.
It's not super long. They decide to go and just basically the studio basically just did their own story.
Yep.
And I guess the writer, she just flat out was like, do whatever, do your own thing.
Just do it. Have a good time.
It's a completely original story from there, and haven't seen the entirety of 2003 just because I just watched 2000. I watched Brotherhood, and I'm not in the mood for that right now. But yeah, so it went off in a completely different direction, like, and it's vastly different from the actual manga.
Yes.
But that show was critically acclaimed back in the day, mostly for its amazing dub. That's probably one of Funimation's most famous dubs.
Yes.
But also for its cool concept and story overall. Then we get Brotherhood in 2009, which is apparently probably one of the most acclaimed animes of all time.
Yep, it's number 1 on my anime list. It's the highest rated.
It's not allowed, Alex. It's not allowed to fall below number 1.
No, it's not.
Because the fan base for it is a bunch of psychopaths who will brigade any other anime that gets above it.
I don't know. One Piece is pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, but you're missing how intense
I know.
I'm
just joking.
I'll get more into that when we talk about a later show.
Yes.
So, I finally watched. I'm at my friend's house, the one who kept bringing it up, mm-hmm. And we decided to watch the first couple episodes while I was there. So I was like, okay, why not? Might as well, if I'm gonna get into it now, might as well start. So we watched the first 3 episodes, which he told me is like some of the only real filler in the entire show, and I was like, oh really? Okay. Well, I'm already interested, so that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
So we get through the first 3 episodes, and then he tells me, oh yeah, and episode 4 is the one where shit gets real.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, good to know.
Yep.
So then I head home, and eventually, I think the next day I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep watching, because I got Hulu, it's all there.
Yeah.
I want to see it. So I watch episode 4, and it starts out, and I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm like, what's so bad about this episode? And then I get to the scene.
I mean,
and I realized,
you can spoil it, because by now, if you haven't seen it, just sucks.
Basically, it's the whole plot of the series is alchemy,
mm-hmm.
and the whole idea of creating something from nothing or through the world. You know what I mean? Alchemy's confusing. But the whole plot of the show is basically the Elric brothers wanted to bring back their mother, so they did basically they tried to transmute a human. The problem is you can't do that; that's forbidden. So, as a price for their sin, they had to give up a part of themselves, and it had to do with basically it was kind of every one of whenever someone attempts human transmutation in the show, the thing they lose is an ironic punishment.
Yeah.
I forget what Ed's was. Ed's had something to do with
Wasn't it his arm? He lost his arm.
He loses his leg at first.
Oh, his leg.
It had something to do with standing or something or being strong. Alphonse wanted to feel his mother's warmth, So
Yeah.
Truth took his entire body.
Yeah.
And
Womp.
because he took Alphonse's entire body, he wasn't technically dead. Ed puts Al's spirit in a suit of armor, but to do that, it cost him his arm.
Yeah.
So now Ed lost an arm and a leg,
Oh.
and Al lost his entire body.
Yep.
And then there's characters later on that, like, one of them who's their teacher lost her child, lost her baby, so they tried to, like, transmute the baby. So as a cruel punishment, Truth took away her ability to have children.
Oh God.
Yeah. And then later on, another character. So this big spoiler warning here. Another character, Roy Mustang. His whole goal is to change the continent, basically.
Yeah.
So Truth took his eyes.
Oh boy. Yep.
Now. So going back to episode 4.
Yes.
They're trying to learn more about. I think they're trying to learn about, like, human transmutation some more and get more hints towards finding their bodies at one point.
Yeah.
And they visit this state alchemist, he was, like, one of the guys who discovered how to, like, to create chimera.
Mm-hmm.
And it's implied that his wife died, and it's just him and his daughter and their dog.
Yep.
But his recertification's coming up, and he needs to come up with something to basically
Yep.
keep his certification.
Yep.
So they come back the next day, and the daughter's missing, and so is the dog.
Yep.
But he has a new chimera that's a dog with long brown hair. Yeah, put the pieces together.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's basically implied his first experiment was his wife.
Yeah.
It's a fucked up episode.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
I
that's-
was texting you and I was like, "Did you watch the episode yet?" And then you explained it perfectly. I was like, "Yep, you watched it."
That's the one.
That's the one.
And it's funny because I was like, because I thought the first couple episodes were pretty dark to begin with. I'm like, how can it get any worse?
It got
And I'm like,
worse.
oh,
It got worse.
it did get worse.
Yeah.
It never gets really any worse after that. There's dark moments, but
But that's one of the very lows of the show. Probably the
yeah,
lowest
and
low.
it's not even a one-off moment either because they keep bringing it up even in the final episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very key part of the series.
Oh yeah, I
But-
mean it's a very intense moment. Like I mean.
After that, I was like, well, I have to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So I kept watching it until the end because it's only a 64 episode show. It's not.
No,
that
it's
long
not.
at all.
It's not One Piece.
No, it's a very doable in like a week or so.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm like, all right, I have to finish it. I have to believe the hype.
Yeah.
And I finished it all the way through, saw all the different characters, the different worlds. What I loved about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is because it's a Funimation dub. I know every like voice there,
Yep.
especially because I just watched another Funimation show recently before that. And, like, the crossover between voices, like every character is interesting, like, and the ending wraps everything up so nicely.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a solid, definitive ending.
Yeah.
And honestly,
you
it
need
was
no more and you needed no less. Yeah.
No, and that's a topic I'd actually like to get to after we discuss animes, but before that. So yeah, FMAB, totally get the hype.
Mm.
I'll probably watch the original at some point.
Yeah.
I just don't have time right now, and I'm kind of Fullmetal Alchemist out right now.
Yeah. You watched your good thing and now you're taking a break.
Well, I want to watch something else because it's like the problem too is if I watch the original show, the first half is basically the same as the first half of Brotherhood.
Yeah. So you should like take a break between doing
Yeah.
that.
Definitely worth watching.
And there's plenty of other shows for you to watch, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I still gotta watch Yu Yu Hakusho. That's my other one that I've been getting hounded to watch. So.
All right, maybe you should do it. That's your next one.
I mean, it's right here. I got the DVDs.
I mean, no excuses. Start watching it after this. Let's go, and then you'll
Well,
progress
no, because
report. Do it.
I have to play Last of Us and do many other things.
You
first.
can have it playing while you're playing.
Oh no! You don't understand what kind of game Last of Us is.
All right. Oh yeah,
There's no
it's that.
multitasking
Oh
there.
yeah, true. I remember now. I remember.
But anyways, so what would your next anime you want to discuss be?
Oh, dang. Well, I talk so much about One Piece. Oh, I guess another one. I think I mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast, but probably one of my. This show was not action, but it was a show that I was probably one that I loved the most. Besides, it's probably up there. Like, it's probably like One Piece, JoJo's, Black Clover, and then this one's pretty out of the box, but it was called Carol and Tuesday. And I've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast, I know. But it's on Netflix. It was made by Netflix, but I will say it is very good and it's very wholesome.
Is that the one with the guitar player?
Yes. So
Okay.
it follows the story of two girls, Carol and Tuesday. And Carol is a girl who basically she grew up on her own. She was an orphan. So also major plot point. The show takes place on Mars. They're on Mars. So basically it's kind of a future
Good to
where
know.
the Earth they no longer live like the Earth is like in trouble. There's refugees and everyone is fleeing to like Mars. So basically there's a new society on Mars. And Earth isn't the greatest place to live. So Carol was a refugee and she lost her family at that time. Like she got separated and she basically grew up on her own. And basically was like had to do everything on her own. And then Tuesday, on the other hand, is opposite. Her mom is like a government, like someone very important to the government. She was rich, she was always pampered for, but because of that, she never really like even though she was like in this rich house, she was still really lonely. And both the characters are super lonely and they end up like coming together, finding each other, and making beautiful music. So basically like the whole show is just like it's them starting from the bottom, just playing music on the street until they get discovered by this producer, who like he's not the greatest producer. Well, he used to make really great music but he does everything the old-fashioned way. He doesn't do it like the modern way. So they go through him, but he's a lovable guy and he's there for them every step of the way. So it goes through them basically like becoming a viral sensation and then trying to profit off of that. They try and make connections with people. It doesn't always work. And eventually they put themselves on this like basically an American Idol version of the show called like Mars Finest. And that's kind of how they make their main stand. But it's basically a show where they like walk through their whole careers and how they become like not King of the Pirates, but how they become like famous singers. But one thing that's really cool about the show, which kind of I really liked because it kind of relates to music nowadays, is that music, a lot of it was created by AI, where like AI has kind of taken over all of Mars, where it's all kind of, no one uses instruments, they just use AI that makes the background music and they sing along, or even the AI is singing itself. But they use a piano and a keyboard and they make all the music themselves and it all comes from them. So I thought it's a really wholesome show. It has really good music. Like they hired like professional singers to do the singing for it, and I listen to the soundtrack a lot. Like it's a very good soundtrack. Everyone they hired is really great in it. The sound design is awesome, and it's basically a show following them. There's some drama with like the government and like one of their singing rivals as well, but it's very good. I definitely recommend it for anyone who like wants to watch something that isn't super intense but also listen to some music. It's definitely a good show to watch. I recommend. And that's probably been one of my most favorite ones that I've watched, besides like One Piece or like it's one of my out there ones and it's not a romance. It's more just like a music show, I would say. But I definitely recommend that to anyone who wants to listen to some good music, but also like just chill and relax. Yeah.
Okay. So my next one. Now I alluded to it during the last one that I was going to be watching it.
Yes.
So probably my most out of the box one, as that compared to what I normally watch. Well, I mean, even then, I guess it kind of fits. Is Fruits Baskets, the 2019 version, not the original. 2001 version.
And I was pestering you to watch it for a while. I like kept telling you to just watch it.
Yeah, because you were with me when I bought the first Blu-ray set.
Yep. And he finally watched it.
Well, I just was finally like, you know what, I want to, because season 3 was coming out.
Yeah.
Like the final season was finally releasing, and I figured, okay. Now, the whole reason, it's the reason why I haven't watched Attack on Titan yet, is because I'm waiting for it to end so I can go in one go.
No, I feel you. I feel you on that.
The thing with Fruit Baskets was, because it's a concise, like, continuous story, I didn't want to, like, start it and then have to wait for the rest of it to come out.
Yeah.
And then probably have to restart it because I'd forget.
Yeah.
And especially after watching it, this was a good thing. So I started it right around the point where season 3 was about halfway done.
Yep.
So because I figured, with how they were releasing it, I'd get through it probably by the time it was pretty much done.
Yeah.
So I start watching it, and Fruit Baskets is a very deceiving show from its appearance.
Yes. Oh yes, it is.
Because if you look up Fruit Baskets and you just look up the promotional stills,
yeah,
you'll think this is like
a happy-go-lucky
romance slice of life, like which it is,
yes.
But it's also a bit more. But it's just the most girly, like, happy as can be anime you'll ever see. Especially from the main character, who is like the epitome of happiness.
Yeah, epitome
even
of
though she
sunshine.
has a dark and troubled past.
Yeah, sunshine cinnamon roll, but
she's literally a cinnamon bun.
Yes.
Or I guess a rice ball, as they say in the show.
Yes, a rice ball. Oh, rice ball.
But that's actually more deeper when you actually find out the meaning.
Yeah.
But so the show starts out and it's like, okay, you're following this random high school girl who lives in a tent because her family is dead.
Yeah. Well, and her remaining family members are assholes.
At least her aunt and cousin are.
Yeah, her grandpa not so much.
Her grandpa's nice. Her female cousin just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, the female cousin literally just doesn't care. She's just there.
She can't be bothered.
The other two are complete. Yeah. She exists, and then the other two are just irredeemable pricks.
Yes.
But you don't find that out till later.
Yes.
And then she stumbles upon this random guy's house in the woods. Yes. And then runs into another person who's living there, and they go to school because they go to school together.
Yeah.
Then she later ends up going back to said house.
Yes.
And a strange orange-haired man falls through the roof.
Yes.
And starts a fight with silver-haired man.
Yep.
Named Yuki. And then Toro, being the clumsy girl she is, trips and falls into orange-haired man.
Yes.
And he turns into a fucking cat.
Yep.
And in her shock and freaking out, she trips and falls into silver-haired man and the gray-haired man who lives in house.
Yes.
And they turn into a rat and a dog.
Yes.
And she's losing her mind.
Oh yes.
So then we find out about the family. She's basically stumbled upon this cursed family.
Yes.
Who their curse is basically when they hug a person of the opposite sex, they turn into their spirit animal, which is all part of the Japanese zodiac, or is it Chinese zodiac? One of those.
I think it's Chinese, but it's basically the zodiac animals.
Whichever one doesn't have the cat, basically.
Yes.
And basically, she finds out whenever they come into like close like hug contact with an opposite person of the opposite sex, they change into animals. Unless they are also a zodiac, then it doesn't do anything for some reason.
Yeah.
And as the show runs, you slowly get more introduced to the Soma family, because there's one for each member of the zodiac, plus the cat and the god. We'll get to the god later.
Yes.
Now the cat is not technically part of the zodiac, but he's still a zodiac animal in a sense.
But he still exists.
And he is shunned by the entire family.
Yeah. So fuck them.
And this is where you start to learn the parents in this show, except for a few select ones, are irredeemable assholes.
They all suck. Besides a few.
Like, besides there's a few that you find that are decent. The sheep, Hero, his mother is just about as ditzy as Toro.
Yep.
And she's perfectly fine. You never see his dad, but it's assumed that he's also normal.
Yes.
There's the tiger, whose mother starts out being kind of questionable, but then you find out she's actually just tired and needs encouragement.
Needs appreciation.
She needs to understand, and she gets it, and then she gets better.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out slowly every one of these characters has a character development episode. Some more than others.
Oh, yes.
Even Toro's high school friends, and even like side characters that aren't even related really to the main plot have these deep backgrounds.
Oh, yeah. It's all part of it.
But you start learning like quickly that. So this, at first glance, this show you think is one of the biggest like. You want to set off a Fruit Baskets fan. Do not call the show a harem anime.
No, it is not a harem. It is not.
It is not. Just because there is a pseudo love triangle at the beginning of the beginning of the show.
It does not follow suit. It does not. It ends up being a one, two, just a couple. And then there's another couple.
There's an implied love triangle for like the first half of season 1.
Yeah.
And then some significant plot happens. You start introducing to more and more characters. You get basically every character has a backstory, and each one is darker and darker and darker.
Yes.
Even some of like the side ones, with like there's one character who is a monkey, and he's a nervous wreck.
Yes.
About everything he does, and his parents love him, but they're so embarrassed by him that they're overly critical about everything. It's even the not so shit parents are kind of shit.
Yeah, they're all kind of shit in the end.
And then we get to the probably. So I guess we should probably, before I get too far, we should explain the difference between the 2019 show and the original 2001 show, which you have more experience with the 2001 show.
Yes. So, well, I watched season 1 and 2 of the more modern show, but I did watch all of the 2001 show. And I will say, I think Bill is very harsh on it. Like, yes, the animation was not as great, but if we did not have that show, we probably would not have what we have now. So you have to be grateful to it, okay? And forgive it for its. I do not think it would have came out if we didn't have that original. Because
maybe not in America.
Yeah, I don't think it would be in America, but it has some good moments. It has some bad moments. It definitely does. They changed some things, but
they ruined the entire. They ruined an entire arc.
Yeah, so it's not the greatest. Definitely watch the new one.
It's also
the old one.
The main issue with the old one, besides the animation being incredibly crap nowadays, even by those standards, it wasn't the most attractive looking show, I'll say.
Oh yeah.
But one of the biggest problems with that show was it came out when the manga wasn't finished, which is always a problem.
Yes. Well, unless they have a plan around it, but they did not have a plan.
Unlike the FMA, unlike the first FMA anime where they reached the manga and the writer just decided to let the show do whatever they wanted. Mm-hmm. In the case of Fruit Baskets, the writer of Fruit Baskets, I forget her name right now, but she did not get along with the director for the original Fruit Baskets show.
And it shows.
And he took a lot of creative liberties with a lot of characters. Mm-hmm. Literally, I think the only really great thing that they had going for it, and this wasn't even him, this was Funimation, was the voice actors.
Yes.
Because most of them were carried over between the two shows.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, though, because the manga wasn't finished, there was some very key, like spoiler warning here, very key plot things that weren't revealed yet. Particularly the gender of, spoiler warning here, the main antagonist of the show.
Yes.
I guess you can say that. It's confusing.
Yeah, it's not really an antagonist. It's more of a person who is just as troubled as everyone else on the show.
Oh yeah, So the god of the Zodiacs, Akito Soma, the head of the Soma clan.
Yes.
In the original anime, she was a dude. Because it wasn't revealed yet that she's actually a woman.
Yep.
But in a great Funimation thing, in the original anime, she was voiced by, like, Chad Chine, I think his name is.
Yep.
And in the new one, she's voiced by, I think, Luffy's voice actress, actually, Colleen
Oh, really?
I think.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wait,
But,
look that up. Continue.
Because obviously they couldn't, the original voice actor could not reprise his role for a female character, they actually cast him as Akito's father, who has a brief cameo in a later episode, which I thought was a nice touch.
No, that's definitely a nice thing that they did.
The problem, though, I have with the original anime was it was a lot more comedic than the actual manga is. Like, the humor in the original anime was kind of ridiculous at times.
Oh, yeah, they definitely pushed the comedy a little.
They also changed it a lot to, like, in the manga and the 2019 anime, you gotta have, like, a full-on, like, chest to back or back to chest, like, contact transform.
Yeah.
Or, like, arms around, like, legit contact. In the original anime, it was, like, just a touch. And
Yeah,
they
just, like,
changed.
all they would have to do is boop their nose and they would just become the
Well, because
animal.
there's a scene where Toro passes out from exhaustion and she her forehead falls into Kyo, and he's all like calling her an idiot for being overworking herself. In the original anime, she falls on him, he turns into a cat, and he has the same freak out as a cat.
Side note.
Because, okay, why not?
Side note. You were correct. Akito is also the voice actor of Luffy. That is all.
Among a lot of
Oh yeah, among many. But Luffy is the most important to me. No.
But anyways, what's cool about the show is the progression of the characters, because
Oh, she's also Maya Fey. Oh, sorry.
Mia Fey.
Mia Fey. Oh, okay. Bleh.
Not Maya. Maya's a very different voice.
All right.
But
all right.
As the show goes on, it starts out being like you learn about all the Somas and you learn about their troubles and their trauma, which they have a lot of. And then season 2 kind of spreads out a bit, because the first season is entirely based around Turo, Yuki, and Kyo.
Yeah.
The three main characters, plus Shigeru's there as well. And that's one other difference is in the original anime he was just a perv.
Yeah.
In the 2019 anime he's a perv / magnificent bastard.
Yes. And
like,
actual character, not just one trait.
Yeah, and he's actually plotting, and like his entire scheme is not very apparent the first watch, but rewatching the show, you realize he's pulling the strings the entire show.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
The whole reason Turo even like encounters the Somas is all him.
Yeah.
Like he pulled basically all the strings for this. But by the time so the first season basically ends with the full-on climax of the famous true form arc.
Yep.
Because all the characters change into their animal forms when they get hugged. But the cat, because the cat is the outsider, is the scapegoat, the one that gets punished. Because the whole plot line for Kyo is, once he graduates high school, he's going to be put in a cage and just locked up for the rest of his life.
Yeah, like his father. What wasn't it his
Unless
father? Yeah.
No, it was his grandfather. His father's a piece of shit.
Oh, okay. Whoops.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even his grandfather. It was his stepfather's grandfather.
Ah, yes.
That's what it was. That's why his stepfather has an appreciation for him, because his stepfather is like one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah. Oh,
he's
yep. I know.
Kazuma, that's his name. He did not treat his grandfather very nicely because he jumped in on the prejudice, and then he grew up and realized that was really fucked up.
Yeah.
So when he sees Kyo basically abandoned by his own father after his mother commits suicide.
Yep.
Yeah, this show is dark, people.
Oh yeah, no, it's very dark. Don't expect a happy show.
So after Kyo's all but abandoned by his actual, if you want to call him a father, he gets taken in by Kazuma, who basically becomes his real dad.
Aww.
And one of the key things is because he's the outsider, he has... Not only does he turn into a cat when he gets hugged, but he also, if he has these beads on his arm that suppress his true form, which is this monstrous abomination.
Yes.
And at the climax of season 1, which was also the climax of the original anime, because that's where it ended.
Yep.
The whole climax of the show, of the season, is Kazuma forces Kyo to take off the beads.
Yeah.
Or Kyo to take off the beads.
And it's basically a test
Right,
for Toru, right? To see
it's
if
basically
she's truly...
a test to see if Toru actually cares.
Yeah.
If she is truly like the beacon of hope for this family.
Yeah.
And this is where one of the main reasons I don't like the original anime.
They
screwed
ruined
this
the
scene up
Yeah.
so badly. So, in the manga and the 2019 anime, he turns into the monster and runs off. She, no hesitation, runs after him.
Yeah.
Like, no hesitation.
Not afraid at all. Even though he's like this scary monster she's never seen before.
That smells atrocious, apparently. It's implied smells like death.
Oh. Nice.
Meanwhile,
Stinky.
Yuki and who's the psycho girl that is obsessed with Kyo?
It's she's the boar girl. Kana?
I
no,
forget
not
her. Kana was Hattori's ex-fiance.
It was it begins with a K. I'm pretty certain it begins with a K.
Kagura,
yeah.
Yeah. They're both hiding in fear in the house.
Also, funny thing, now that I just realized, Kana, Kagura, Inuyasha.
Yeah, I know, Inuyasha.
No. I'm sure those are common names in Japan. I'm sure they're actually like normal names, but just for us. But yeah, they're actually hiding from him. And
well, Kagura is hiding in the house because Kagura has seen the form before because she forced him to turn into it as a child, as part of backstory that you get into later on. But she is quote unquote in love with Kyo, but he wants nothing to do with her because she's very obnoxious about it, basically.
But also because she can't accept him for who he truly is.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and it's kind of implied the only reason she loves him, claims she loves him, is because she feels sorry for him because of what
guilt.
she did to him, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but besides that, going back to Toro, she runs after him, had no hesitation.
Yeah.
She throws up because of the smell at one point.
Yeah.
But keeps going, and then goes to him, and basically, when he basically yeets her off into the distance,
she comes back
rather than and tells her to basically fuck off. Apparently, she starts to walk away, and then turns around and basically refuses. She won't go.
Yep.
Until basically he finally changes back, and that's the start of their relationship. Basically, they're some of the most like awkward like teen romance. Like they clearly love each other. Why won't they just
kiss? Kiss already? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning: you're gonna have to wait 2 seasons for that one. But
Oh yeah.
But anyways. In the 2001 anime, she runs away and hides because she's afraid. It's like, you ruined the whole point of that scene.
Yes.
And it's... Yeah, it's just...
sad.
Some people like the 2001 show. It has its moments. I did like the soundtrack from what I've seen of it. It had a cool soundtrack and the voice actors were all good.
Yeah.
I just... It changes too much, and it's like what it doesn't change is like just done better in the original. I mean, in the remake.
Yeah.
But after that scene, you don't really get any more introductions to like Somas anymore, aside from the final 2, who weren't in the original anime.
Yes, we missed out.
And they're also probably 2 with the most trauma for different reasons.
Oh yeah, trauma. It just I feel like after that, like after Kyo shows his true form, like it just gets trauma. It just becomes trauma, the anime. It's trauma centered. The actual trauma center.
Well, no, because there's no zombie viruses.
No.
But
it's still a center for trauma.
So basically the whole theme of the second season of Fruit Baskets is basically Toro's whole goal is she wants to find a way to break the curse.
Yes.
and she's going to do whatever she can to break the curse.
Yes.
Meanwhile, this is where the side plot begins of Yuki trying to be more independent.
Yes.
Because Yuki's whole problem is he's basically a extreme doormat to the max. Like,
Yes.
he just takes everything.
Yes.
His brother is a bit too... like, one of his brother, who's also a Soma, gives way... well, a Zodiac Soma, gives him way too much attention out of apology for abandoning him as a kid, because his punishment was he became Akito's playmate.
Yeah.
Which is why he ended up leaving the Soma estate and going to live with Shigeru.
Yeah.
And his whole side plot of season 2 is he's trying to become more independent.
Yeah.
So he becomes the president of the student council, where you meet his student council friends.
Yes, and his love
who
interest.
are some of... well, we'll get to her because she wasn't in the original series. But you meet them and... oh boy, they're characters too.
Yep.
So you get Kenkaro, who is his... he's basically the opposite of Yuki in every way. He's basically like Kyo minus the trauma.
Yeah.
He's obnoxious, he's everything that Yuki hates. And he just gets under his skin, and unlike Kyo, he can't do anything about him.
Yeah.
And then there's Kimi, who is a brain-dead girl, basically, who just... she knows she's hot, and she uses that to her advantage.
Yeah.
And she talks in the third person.
Yep.
And her main goal in the series is just to screw with Yuki's fan club, because Yuki has a full-on fan club, by the way.
Nice.
Who also have their own deep character arcs.
Oh yeah, and funny part, in the first anime, they delete one of the main fan club girl. Like, she's not in the first one.
They changed her hair color for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same character, but it's like a different character at the same... it's weird.
Well, they moved they moved the girl with pigtails to, like, the main character, and then pushed her as, like, a back.
Yeah, and they changed her hair to, like, brown for some reason, even though it's blue.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep hearing, like, thumping in my apartment. I couldn't tell someone's knocking on the door. No, I couldn't tell someone's knocking on the door. Like, if I'm being too loud, so...
yeah. But, yeah, anyway, so... yeah, there's Kimi, and then there's the other... I forget... what is the other... I forget the other one's name, but he's like a... he's basically the straight man in the middle of this, like, psychotic, like, mess, where he's way too uptight, basically, about everything.
Yep.
And then there's Machi, who is the half-brother of Kenkaro. I mean, half-sister of Kenkaro.
Yep.
And her introduction... well, aside from a cameo in Season 1, her introduction is... she destroys the fuck out of the student council room.
Yep.
And we get no real answer other than... this girl's got issues.
Yes. But
so
does Yuki.
Yes. She's got just as many issues as the Somas do.
Yep.
And so basically, the side plot of Season 2 is Yuki and Yuki's random shenanigans with the student council.
Yeah.
Which basically is him bonding with Kenkaro, getting a more understanding of him, who basically tells him, you gotta stop being this uptight little bitch and you gotta be a man, basically.
Yep.
And that leads to him trying to, like, open up to Machi, who is basically a mess of nerves, and can barely function. She's basically like the opposite of Toro in a sense.
Yes.
So, while that's going on, then the main side plot is Toro trying to find a cure. I mean, not a cure, a way to break the curse.
Yeah.
And then she eventually encounters Isuzu, or Rin as she's known, who is the horse, who is probably the most damaged out of all of the Somas.
Oh yeah, I feel the worst for her.
And has, by far, the worst parents in the entire series.
Yep. Trash parents.
And she's also screwed with by other people just because they don't like her for no reason. Like, everything that happens to her comes from Akito's mother, Ren, who basically caused the incident that caused Isuzu's parents to basically disown her and treat her like utter garbage until she literally passed out from the stress.
Yep.
And then they just abandoned her.
Yeah, 'cause assholes.
Thankfully, she had Haru. Until Akito found out that her and Haru were a thing. And Akito pushed her out a fucking window.
Rude.
Because she's in the hospital for all of season 1.
Yeah. Jesus.
Because she fell from a window and almost died.
Yep.
And then, basically, her and Toro eventually have because she doesn't want anything to do with Toro the first time she meets her.
Nope. She's just like, no, thank you.
She's like Sundari to the max.
Yes.
But basically, eventually they finally have their heart to heart, and like every Soma in the show, Toro basically worms her way into their lives because the whole plot, the whole basic runaround of the plot is Toro is basically becoming. There's the way the curse works is they're all so reliant on the god to function that they're tied to her permanently.
Yep.
What Shigeru planned was to get Toro in there to become something else they could latch onto, which weakens the curse and eventually breaks it.
Yep.
Because we find out later, the final Soma, Kurano, whatever his name is,
Yep.
his curse is already broken.
Ah.
Like, it's been broken since the series started. And it's never really explained why his broke, I think. I think it just has to do with the curse weakening.
Yeah.
Because later on, Majomi, the bunny, his curse breaks because he finds attachment in his little sister, I think, and has something more to care about.
Yeah.
And it breaks his curse.
Yep.
And then Hiro's curse breaks later on because he gets attached. His mother has a daughter, like a little sister.
Yeah.
And he has something else to care about. And basically, the climax eventually is Toro almost dies because she falls off a cliff because the poor girl.
Yeah, poor Toro.
And this is after too, where Akito's finally losing her mind because she already almost killed Rin by locking her up in the cat's room after like freaking beating the shit out of her because she got manipulated by Ren again.
Yep.
And that basically causes when Haru finds out what happened to Rin, he basically tells Akito off for once and for all, like he's done with her and goes off, and it symbolizes the thread of the curse starting to rip.
Yeah.
So then after Toru falls off a cliff after like being almost killed by Akito, which it's funny because Toru finally starts to get through to her, and this is after Kyo brutally rejects her.
Yeah.
Like, this is this shit's getting deep here.
Yep.
Basically, Akihito is basically like threatening her with a knife, and
Jesus.
Toro finally starts to get through to her, and just as they're about to finally like reach something, Toro's standing on the edge of the cliff that crushed her tent at the beginning of the series. The cliff collapses and she falls, basically.
Yeah.
And she's hospitalized, and literally she gets found by Yuki and Kyo, and Kyo basically realizes how much he fucked up.
Yeah.
By rejecting her there, and he kisses her even though she's unconscious, and she basically tells him it's okay, and then goes to the hospital where she recovers. And then Kyo runs and hides, and then finally the climax that everyone's waiting for is Yuki finally confronts Kyo, and basically they have the heart-to-heart of they both hate each other, and they realized the whole time they wanted to be each other.
Yeah.
And they finally have that understanding, and this finally gets Kyo to grow a pair and finally go to Toro.
Yeah.
So he goes to Toro as she's coming out of the hospital, and then she runs away from him.
Yeah.
At the speed of light, which causes him to chase after her. He finally catches her, and she runs the other way. What
was he expecting? He rejected her, and she was embarrassed.
I know, but because it's not even that. She runs away because she couldn't handle getting rejected again.
Yep. And
so eventually he catches her, and then they finally have the heart-to-heart where he finally gives into the fact that he loves her. Like, he's in love with her. Like, there's no question. And she loves him.
Yep.
So then they finally kiss.
Yes.
And that breaks the curse.
Yes.
And it breaks everybody's curse. And then basically we finally get all the loose ends tied up where Yuki and Machi get together because they have all their trauma together.
Yep.
And it basically is a full-on climax of everything works out in the end, and everybody's happy for the most part.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly abridged version of it.
Yes. See, and now you can't complain that I talked about One Piece for that long because you talked about Fruits Baskets for You started at the 40-minute mark and we're on the hour 10, so you can't complain. You talked about Fruits Baskets just as long, so.
Okay. Well, anyways, now, did you have another show or do we want to start wrapping this up?
I think we might want to start wrapping it up, but that was a good Fruits Baskets talk.
Yeah. Well, it amazed me how much I really adored that show.
No, I mean, it's just like when I was talking about One Piece. You're just able to say so much, and so passionately because it's one of your favorite shows. So
it's up there. It's in my top couple. I mean, Inuyasha's at the top.
See,
and then I probably.
Oh, you go.
Inuyasha's at the top, and then I'll mix in like Fruit Baskets. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's up there now. Mm-hmm. I got a whole bunch that I just adore.
Persona 4?
That one I kind of consider cheating.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm biased because I adore that game.
Yeah.
Game anime is kind of its own thing. But it's kind of... I wanted to wrap it around this because our whole theme I had going was then and now.
Yes.
Back in the day, if I was watching the OG Fruit Baskets...
You would not have watched it today.
No, probably not, because I probably would have been ridiculed for watching it.
Well...
No, if I had watched it back then without that aspect, I probably would have had more of an appreciation for the 2019 show.
Oh, okay.
Because from what I've seen with most people is, the ones who love the original watched it back in the day. The ones who don't like it didn't watch it back in the day, so they have no attachment to it.
But you didn't watch it, but yet you love it. So.
Well, no, I'm saying the fans of the original anime.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was a fan of the original, but I think the new one's so much better. So, I think there's outliners everywhere. There's a whole bunch of categories when it comes to Fruits Baskets.
Because the 2019 show is the full most of the full story.
Yes.
They start cutting stuff in the season 3 for... I'm going to assume it had to do with pandemic-related reasons, but...
Yeah, I bet it had to do with stuff like that.
But anyway, so, yeah, it was like, back then, watching a show because the early 2000s were a different time, and being a boy, if you were caught watching that, you would never hear the end of it.
Yeah. Also, quick
Nowadays,
side... Oh.
Well, what were you going to say?
Also, quick side note. See, you know what Fruits Baskets teaches? That you should take my recommendations seriously. Because I recommended Fruits Baskets to you like 50 billion times, and you go, I'll watch it eventually, and you finally watched it, and now you're obsessed with it. So,
I did watch it eventually.
So, watch my other recommendations, because I recommend the good shit.
I'll get to it. Eventually.
I recommend the good shit. Alright. Anyways. I forgot to tell you something.
Okay.
It's the Switch, bitch.
Oh.
Sorry. I had to do it. Anyways, continue.
So, continuing on anyways, it's like, this, you remember how back in the day, anime would go through weird phases where, like, people would care about it?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it'd be like, you watch anime? What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
or,
get out.
That's for kids. No, it's not.
It's not. Have you ever seen Corpse Party? That's really kid-friendly.
Have you seen Akira, Perfect Blue?
Have you seen Junji Ito? Anything by him?
Inuyasha isn't really even kid-friendly.
No, I mean, like, when I went back and watched it, like, some of the episodes, like... But even, like, My Hero Academia, like, it gets violent sometimes. Like, I forgot. I mean, there's a guy whose quirk is... Like, basically, if he touches someone, they'll disintegrate.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, so, like, even, like, these shows that may seem really, like, kid and happy-friendly, like, I feel like anime always has some dark parts in it.
Oh, you know what I also love, too, about, like, what makes an anime great?
What?
Being able to, like, keep people interested without relying on fan service.
Yes.
Because Fruit Baskets does not have a lot of fan service.
No, it barely has any.
The most fan servicey thing in that show is, I guess whenever Rin turns into the horse or turns back because she's naked.
Yeah. But even
that's
then,
it.
Yeah, but even then, like, it's not really. I wouldn't
No,
really
and
consider that fan service. It's more just part of the process.
And it's really not either, because the 2 times she turns into the horse in the series are really traumatic events.
Yeah.
I mean, usually whenever the Somas transform back, it's always played for laughs, because you always get the scene of them changing back and then Toro freaking out.
Like,
going,
ah! Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, because naked people everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that, like, the fan... I hate when the show overly relies on fan service, unless that's the point of the show, which in case it's just like it's not like a Konosaba where it's just that's the joke.
Yeah, no.
Or
basically,
what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say like any of the one like a harem show, like where.
Well, that's what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's what you're signing up for, or like. I mean, like, One Piece, I don't really consider it that, because it's more just that's how the characters are designed.
That's
like,
just Odo's
art
designed
style.
Philosophy.
Yeah, that's
he just enjoys that aspect of it.
But then also, like, look at some of the other characters who are, like, abominations, so, you know, I don't really consider that.
Ironically, Inuyasha's probably more fan servicey than One Piece is when you really think about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I would say actually, Black Clover, it has fan service, but it takes it as a joke. So a lot of the times, a lot of the times they do, at the end of Black Clover, it does this thing in, like, not every episode, but, like, for a majority, it will do this thing, it's called Clover Clips, and it basically, like, will do, like, funny little chibi cartoons, but sometimes, like, that's where they'll throw in fan service, like, that's when they'll just, but it will be kind of stupid, like, what they're doing, like, I think at one point, like, it was, like, I don't know what it was, but it showed them all, like, being showered in water, and it was, like, the men and the ladies, and I was just, like, this is so stupid, and, like, but they're all the characters are commenting, and, like, why are we doing this? What is the point of this? Like, and it's just making fun of itself, so, Black Clover does it in a funny, comedic way, but it's not in the whole show.
Yeah, because Inuyasha's weird about it, because you get, like, the random... Like, Kagome takes way too many fucking baths in that show.
I mean, but technically, like, is it really that weird? Because, like, she's grown up...
I know, but it's like, why is she... Every scene, she's always taking a bath. It's like, okay. And then Moroku likes to touch the butt.
Yeah,
a lot.
It's the butt.
But it's funny, because this is the same show that has a mandate in the animation thing that you can never see under Kageme's skirt no matter what.
Yeah.
Honestly, which I appreciate, because we don't need that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't really think you need fan service to enjoy a show. Because even now that I think about it, like, One Piece, it has, like, very, like, drawn bodies, but, like, I don't think there's a single panty shot in the whole show. I don't think there is. Like, now that I think about it, like, I don't think there is. I don't think there's a single one.
Yeah, and that's for the better, because it's really obnoxious.
Yeah. I personally...
I've never gotten that. Like, it's always kind of like, oh, great. Oh, I feel very awkward now.
I think the only show I watched where it made sense was the show where, like, it was, like, basically a parody of everything. Like, it was in this world where, like, no one talked about sex or anything related to being, like, promiscuous or anything. So it was basically all these pure kids who didn't know how. And, like, the main character is just this one who's like, you need to learn about this. It's natural and everything. And that's the whole plot of the show. And it's just
this would be an anime.
But, like, it's a joke. So, like, it makes sense that it's happening there, because the whole show is just kind of making fun of, like, Japan almost, like, in their culture.
Yeah.
But, like...
I mean, because when I think of, like, one of the worst examples possible, I think of, like... I like the show, but, like, Full Metal Panic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Random, like...
I think that's another reason why I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's... So it's like you'll have this random, like, mech fight going on, and then you got Kaname over here jumping around, like, in her underwear showing, and it's like... it's like, people... We don't need... Not... Time and place. Time and place.
I don't need this to enjoy my anime.
Well, that show suffers from a lost, like, tone to begin with.
We talked about that the last time too, and I think that's why I couldn't get into it as well.
I enjoy it, but it's very confusing. Like, like, back in the because it's funny, because back in the day, like, you'd rarely see that because they would either censor it or they wouldn't even dub it. But nowadays, they'll dub anything. Like,
oh, yeah. Well, I think they
like,
kind of give more things a shot now. But I think it's also because a lot of animes that have come out have been more with the weird ones that, like, maybe they kind of, like, gave it a shot and just seed how people would take it. Cause...
Oh, yes. And one, I just, you finish your topic because I just remembered my final topic.
Oh, okay. I kind of lost my train of thought. Well, I was basically saying, like a lot of the anime, I feel like there was this brief period of time where they didn't really experiment with any crazy topics, but then eventually they just tried dubbing, like, a lot of different animes that were more crazy and more, like, not mainstream. I mean, I think JoJo's itself, I'm not going to go on a big rant, but, like, I think that was pretty experimental to see how our audience would react to something like that. And,
well, yeah, especially because the original JoJo's was so obscure.
Yeah, the original JoJo's, like, it didn't do well. It was very old, too.
Yes.
But that, like, it was also much darker. And the newer version is so bright and colorful and, just
well, that's
completely...
just animation styles have gotten better. Like, it's the main reason why I prefer Fruit Baskets.
Oh, yeah.
The new one.
No, the animation is definitely, but even just the tone is darker. Because I watched a couple episodes by accident when I was starting JoJo's, because I started watching the old ones, and I was like, wow, this isn't as great as I heard that it was, and then I found out. But even the tone is different. It's very different. Like, when I say darker, it's not just the animation, it's everything. Everything was different. Yeah. The tone.
Satoshi Kon directed a couple JoJo's episodes.
Yeah. No. So, it's definitely, like, they really tried and experimented with some. I even remember, like, the show Parasite, which I still want you to watch. Like, that's basically kind of... Well, it's kind of taking, like, a topic that would probably do really well. Like, if it was, like, a live action or, like, a sci-fi show. But it's basically talking about, like, these alien creatures are coming and they're trying to take over the world. And the main character didn't fully get taken over by the alien. He's halfway. So he's kind of, like, has to be the vigilante hero of the world. And, like, some of the, like, animation, like, I don't think if, like, that came out around Sailor Moon, I don't think it would have even came out. Like, I don't think it never would have, but it has a dub, and it was super successful, and it's
dubbed by Sentai, of all companies,
yeah, too. No, and it's considered,
because
like...
Sentai is usually, when I think Sentai, I think the shit that Funimation and Viz wouldn't touch.
Yeah, but it's amazing. Like, I think that is also one of, like... The manga is amazing, but also the anime was just as wonderful, and it's definitely up there and one of my favorites, I would have to say. I recommend that. But I don't think that back when we were watching Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, like, that show would have never gotten a dub, and it would have never aired here. So,
no.
It's really...
The fact that we got Akira at all is still amazing to me.
Yeah, and... That still surprises me, but I guess I think they probably
what's even more
that...
shocking about Akira is how many rental stores and, like, video stores put it in the kids section without even thinking.
Oh God, that's terrifying.
Despite the R rating on the VHS that says "not for kids" on it.
Yep. Well, that's the world we live in.
Anyways, one final thing before we wrap this up to, like, tie in our whole then and now kind of topic.
Yep.
Sequel animes, because we've been kind of bringing it up recently.
Ugh.
We talked about FMAB, the Fruit Baskets remake.
Ugh.
We've got Dragon Ball Super's out now.
Okay, that's not that bad. That's not that
Boruto's a thing, and then Yashahime.
Ugh.
You haven't even watched it.
I want nothing that I don't want to watch it. Like, I don't know.
It's not that bad.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, like, I was good with the ending. I didn't need a sequel with it. I was fine with how it ended. It's just personally how I feel, you know? There's some that I don't think needed a sequel. I don't think it needed a sequel. But I appreciate that you like it, and I'm not going to stop you from liking it. But personally...
Oh, I won't say it's perfect. Trust me.
Oh yeah, I bet it's not.
We don't know what the hell's going on right now.
But I mean, I don't know. I can get behind some sequel anime, like, but the thing is about Dragon Ball, it's just like
it's not even exclusively
it's not
sequel
even
anime.
like
It's like
it's
continuation.
just like a it has the main, like. See, I don't mind that when it's I don't know. I think for me, I get attached to characters, so like when like it moves on to someone else, I'm just like, oh, and like they're kind of in the background. I'm just like, oh, but I really like that character. Minus JoJo's.
See, that's why you don't.
JoJo's
That's why you don't like. That's why you don't like Yashahime, because literally all the characters are gone.
Yeah, I think that's why I can't get into it, because I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
But it gave us Moroha, who's like one of the greatest things.
I know. I don't think I'll ever watch it. I can't get into it. I don't think
The
I
general
ever will.
The general consensus with most people is, even if they hate everything about Yashahime, they love Moroha. Because Moroha is the best.
My cat has been here the whole time, and I didn't even notice. She was sitting on the couch, and she just moved to the stool, and I didn't even know she was here the whole time. Wow.
Now, another thing, not so much sequels. I should have rephrased that better. More like sequels, remakes, and continuations. I should say is how I should have phrased that. Because we are in like the middle of the like the era of the remake.
Oh yeah.
Because we had it kind of all started with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Because eventually, then like we had a ton, like Sailor Moon Crystal came out.
Yep. That was kind of a failure, though. But they kind of
bombed.
But the thing is though, is they sabotaged themselves with that. That could have been great, but they tried doing 3D, and when you do 3D, it's just
actually, speaking of 3D, have you seen the trailer for the new Dragon Ball movie?
I haven't. Should I be concerned?
Yeah, maybe a little.
Okay.
I'm not sure what to think of it right now.
Oh God! All right, I'll take a look. I'll take a look after this.
But aside from that, actually, I think the first real continuation, like sequel remake, was Hellsing Ultimate.
Yes.
Because that one's probably like the oldest one.
Yes, and
I've noticed it's like been a theme of like animes get original animes, and then they just decide to redo them more faithfully later on.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny too, because I mean, JoJo's was remade as well, and a lot of people don't even know that it was remade. But I think a lot of shows do it because, I mean, animation it's most definitely evolved, and also like a lot of those shows, the manga wasn't always kind of finished, just like Fullmetal Alchemist and some others. So
Inuyasha, yeah.
Inuyasha. So it's sometimes they do it, and it revitalizes the show.
Also, I will say now, collecting manga is a pain.
Oh, yes.
Because there's so many of them.
That's why I only collect the first chapters of JoJo's, because, like, that would be a lot of manga. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm in the process of collecting the Inuyasha manga right now.
Good job.
I'm collecting the Viz Bigs, which is 3-in-1s. There's 18 of them total.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But yeah. So I think we've nerded out quite a bit. I will say, it is incredibly amazing walking down the street now and just seeing like anime like shirts and just.
Yeah. And it's completely normal. Or like going out, like when we went out to that restaurant and like that girl was like, I really like your shirt. And I was like, thanks. I was wearing a Hunter x Hunter shirt, It's just normal now. Like, it's not even like, it's anime, but like, it's just more animation.
I'll never forget the, I was wearing one of my Inuyasha shirts and a girl came up to me and was like, I didn't know guys liked that show. And I was like, it's not a girl's show.
Yeah, it's a show for everyone. No.
It's like the most gender neutral show like probably there is. I was like, yeah, I like anime.
Yes.
It's just funny. Like, it's such. Back in like middle school, high school, it's like you would be the weird kid in the corner if you watched anime.
Yes. No.
Because even though I'm convinced they all watched it.
Oh, I'm convinced too.
Because you don't just go from it being a fad where everyone watches something to all of a sudden nobody watches it. Alright. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Anime.
It's really, a huge part of our lives. I mean, we were able to talk about it for like another 2 hours, so, you know.
Yeah.
I think that clearly
we might have
shows.
finally hit our 2 hour I think we finally hit our 2 hour limit.
Yes, we did. Well, we hit it with our last anime one, too. It was 2 hours that one, too.
That was...
No, that was 2 hours. That was...
No, it wasn't. I'll bring it up later and show you.
I'm pretty certain it's 2 hours, but okay.
No. But...
Yes.
Anyways, guys... You can find the Gaming and Collecting Podcast on all of your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify Podcast. We are made on Anchor Podcast, and you can follow us both on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
But once again, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss, this time, the shows that shaped us.
The
and
animes.
We will see you all later.
The animes that shaped us. Woo!
Fruit Baskets is the best. Watch it.
No, it's One Piece. One Piece is the best. Watch that.
Inuyasha.
One Piece. Or Carol and Tuesday. That was good too.
No.
Did you say Bleach? Did you say Bleach?
I just threw in Bleach.
No, fuck Bleach. No one wants to see that. There's so many better shows. I've seen Bleach. I know it's bad. Alright. We're ending this because I need to pee. Alright. Bye, people. Ah! Bye.
Bye.